hour tonight. Inadequate water supply worries Gishiri residents, Federal Capital Territory suburb. Thugs disrupt PDP State Congress in Zamfara. Commercial drivers in Abuja lament low patronage as Christmas holiday provides free-flow traffic. And on the foreign scene, Iraq's Supreme Court ratifies October election results. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. The news in full. Water supply in the Federal Capital Territory is not adequate enough to cover all districts and satellite towns. One of such towns that experience water supply shortage is Gishiri. Residents of Gishiri, a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory, complain of water scarcity and increased price from water vendors. Trust TV's Nafisa Abdul Al reports that the suburb went to the suburb to check out how the residents cope with the situation.
This is Gishiri, a suburb in the FCT, just a trackable distance away from Maitama district. This community lacks one of the most basic social amenities, water.
Really, we have been having that water challenges for a very long time for now. We always have the water just temporary. Like my house, I have a tap in my house, but it's not always that I see water. Sometimes it will take me 2-3 months before I will see water once in a while. But since it's a local vendor, I don't bother much. But from government, we are not achieving anything in this community. Primary health care, we don't have it. The only one primary health care we have here is not working. About 2 years ago, my wife lost her baby. Why? Because we don't have a standard medical care in this vicinity here. Where I went for antenatal and other things, we didn't get anything reasonable. So that's why I end up losing my child. Those are two things. Even the road, if you check as you are coming into this community, there's no road. In fact, I've been in this community for over 15 years, and I didn't see any government impact in this community. The only time we see them is when they are coming for election.
Yesterday to last month for that Gishiri Road community, that 2 days no water. Because that road, that one motor wants cut to this pipe for this road. That if people know that road, you will see water that's cut for this area. That sometimes if it today's water, to next two days you will see water again.
I see the condition of the road. Sometimes vehicles when they are passing by and then all those pipes, sometimes they're getting damaged. Like the other time now, they just walk on this road. They try to fix the road and the bulldozer they brought all those listen. So they just scratch all the pipes and then people have problem that time.
We don't usually get water during the daytime. They bring water at night when people have already gone to bed, and people are forced to buy water the next day from Mirua, and that is I think that is very, very bad. People pay for water, they pay for something they cannot make use of. And aside that, we have too many challenges in this community. Again, our lights here, we share lights in the sense that some people will have today, others will not have, and the next day they will bring for other people. And then we have to pay the same amount we have been paying.
This business is not an easy one, because when there is water scarcity, we all suffer from it. We have to go to Mabushi and Jahi to fetch water. As a result, we have to increase the price of the water.
Apart from the obvious water scarcity, this community faces a whole lot of other challenges, such as epileptic power supply, hike in electricity tariff, bad roads, security challenges, and the overall filthy condition of the environment. Nafisa Abdul Al, Trust TV News, Abuja.
An auto crash at the Nikon junction of the Federal Capital Territory involving 3 vehicles has left occupants injured and vehicles damaged. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports that this is coming at a time when vehicular movement in Abuja is light due to the Yuletide holiday.
Even as the roads in the Federal Capital Territory are free due to the Yuletide holiday, this has not stopped the occurrence of road accidents as some road users drive recklessly.
Yes, actually, I was on my way to town. I was coming from the Kubwa axis, and soon after I negotiated the bridge there, and I was coming this way. I dozed off. I was actually the driver of that vehicle, the very vehicle that hit So I dozed off. And by the time I realized what was happening, I saw the car in front of me flying. Apparently, I had hit him. So he flew from this other lane and came here, and that was when he had contact with this other vehicle. So that was actually what happened. It was just an accident that took place here now.
Obviously shocked at the incident, the second driver narrates the events that led to the crash.
While I was driving on the other lane, because I found myself in another lane. Now, when I was driving on the other lane, I just see this EOD car under hit me at the back, and from there I lost control. And obviously, I needed to now start reversing to the next road, which causes another car damage and the rest. When we asked the driver what happened, those of the steering. So that's just all what I could actually say about the accidents.
Although the Federal Road Safety Corps officials on ground refused to make comments, they immediately swung into action to move injured victims to the hospital while also evacuating damaged vehicles. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Public holidays approved by the federal government for Nigerians to celebrate the Yuletide may have freed roads from the usual traffic gridlock in Abuja. But commercial vehicle drivers are not happy with the low patronage during the period. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu, however, reports that other road users are happy with the free flow of traffic.
Most of the roads in the FCT are usually busy, especially on a weekday, where residents are always in a rush to their place of businesses and work. But the situation here in the popular Berger Junction is different, as most residents have traveled home for the Yuletide.
The traffic situation today is more better. There's no traffic, everywhere is free. You can look on the road, no people, everybody have traveled. So the road is free. The road safety people, they are trying their best with the road marshal. We will not see VIO on the road, but the road marshals on the road, they are controlling the traffic. Like me, myself, I run from here to Maraba. Normally on working day, I don't reach Maraba because of the go-slow. But today you can reach Maraba, reach Masaka, no go-slow, the road is free.
The traffic situation in Abuja right now within the Berger Junction area of Abuja is very free. The road is very, very much free compared to what usually happen in a daily basis. Within working days, road here usually very busy, tough all the days. But today, everybody is flowing very well. It's because of the holiday period, the Christmas holiday period. Many persons have traveled. Even those who did not travel because of one reason or the other are sitting back at home having their Christmas Eve.
It were not because of the celebration on now. Hey, everywhere would have been jam-packed with traffic. But on a serious note, the celebration of this nature is always something that creates a very clear space on roads.
We will not have passengers to carry us into. It will affect us, we the transporters, we that drive on, we that run Abuja, we that run Abuja Fair. It will not favor us. It's only those ones that go interstate that to favor them.
The traffic situation now is more better than other days because we don't have much hold up on the road. And I appreciate the work of road safety, civil defense, and the road marshals. They are coordinating, they are controlling the traffic. Like Maraba bus stop, they used to have a congestion there. This time, they are controlling that place. If you come, you go freely, no interruption on the road.
Now it is car that will stop you from you can't be struggling for car these days now. Because everywhere is empty, it's not choking like before.
What about the cost of transportation?
The cost of transportation is lesser now. It's lesser because of there is no more passengers on the road. It's lesser.
The roads are obviously deserted because people are still on holidays. However, these drivers cannot wait to have them back just so business continues as usual. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Residents of Kwapre and Dabna villages in Hong local government area of Adamawa State have fled their homes over persistent attacks by bandits. Adamawa State Police spokesperson DSP Suleiman Nguroji confirmed the attacks in the area but did not go into details. Also, according to a community leader in Garaha, Kwapre, Dabna, La, Za and other adjoining villages are in Garaha ward, where the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and the slain Nigerian Army Brigadier General Zarma Zurkusu hail from. People fled to escape being trapped. He explained that tension and fear are high following the abduction of 52 persons in April this year, while only 8 persons have returned home since then. The community leader laments that kidnappings happen on a daily basis and the bandits have become to task villagers such as Dabna, Sushu, La and many other villages within the Duguba district to pay safety levies. People living with disabilities suffer more from the insecurity ravaging states in the northwestern part of Nigeria. Clerics and some community leaders in Kaduna says ensuring justice for these classes of people can end insecurity. The report.
Banditry and kidnapping are now businesses, with many victims paying huge amounts of money as ransom. The victims fall across all strata of the society, the poor and the rich, the able and the disabled, young and old. Speaking on the issue, Chairman Christians Association of Nigeria in Kaduna, Reverend Joseph Hayab, said addressing the problem requires a holistic approach, adding that military solution has so far failed to address rising insecurity, leaving people with no option but resort to self-help.
Sadly, our propaganda only helps make the bandits or the terrorists stronger. So the measures sometimes we say are mostly newspaper statements, but do they really carry out those measures? When they say certain things will be done, do they really carry out? They just speak on the newspaper and it ends. When they shut down schools, look like for instance in Kaduna State, when there was rumor, the governor did say school were going to shut down, and when people started talking, he said, no, I didn't say so. And after all, he is on record to have said so. But 7 days later, they exactly asked Commissioner to announce something. So even what they call measures sometimes are more like gimmick.
This injustice issue is lacking in our nation. That is why we are suffering insecurity today. There are incessant killing. Villages are being deserted. Armed banditry. There are terrorists there and then killing people indiscriminately and unlawfully. So if you trace every act of insecurity or lack of development in any society, there's an act of injustice by leaders.
Sanusi Shiracho is a community leader and he speaks on the situation at hand.
The primary assignment of every government is to ensure security of lives and property and then fight hunger. When these two things are achieved, people can move around without having any problem. But wherever people are in hungry, they cannot eat, they cannot sleep well with their eyes closed. Definitely, so many bad things can happen.
Well, the issue of security, if you are talking of security, persons with disability for some suffer most in the sense that some of us cannot see, some of us cannot hear, some of us cannot run. So, in this regard, we are appealing to government to make sure that we have peaceful coexistence. Let's be guarantee of our security because we suffer most. If, for instance, if there's any chaos in our community or anywhere, we suffer most because we cannot run, we cannot see, as I earlier said. So, in fact, we suffer most in issue of security.
Because with the issue of this insecurity, we can't go out and look for our daily bread. Because if there is no peace, you can't see any persons with disability.
It is not about anything now, it's about community self-initiative to protect themselves. At least if you have 1,000 youth in a community, you separate them into 150 per night or 120 per night. Each night, there will be 120 youths that are not going to sleep. They will guard all the entrance to. They will have a strategy of what to do and not to do. And they don't all go the same day. So another day. So the day you are not on duty, you are free to go anywhere. You are free to do. But you are also being watchful in case there is a call for support.
The consensus among them is community-based approach is needed to complement government's effort in addressing the problem.
And still on matters of insecurity, Special Forces and Air Task Force of the Nigeria military on Sunday foiled an onslaught at the School of Special Forces in Yobe. PR Nigeria reports that 7 insurgents were eliminated in a separate attack on civilians at Buniyadi 53 kilometers from Damaturu. The report said the sect members stormed the town, targeting the school and community, using cows as cover to avoid detection. But troops opened fire after sighting them. While the fighters succumbed to superior firepower of the military in the process, 7 of them were gunned down, while 2 vehicles were destroyed. You're watching Trust TV News Hour. Coming up after the break. Celebrations still ongoing in Abuja. This and more after the break. Stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
This is Muhammadu Indimi Center for Distance Learning and an international conference center, initiated and funded by foremost elder statesman, international businessman and philanthropist Alhaji Muhammadu Indimi OFR through his foundation. The 2 elegant projects are sited at the University of Maiduguri. Commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari, the landmark projects consist of a lecture hall for 800 students, a conference hall with 1,300 seats, a library, an electronic resource center, examination hall, 20 offices, digitized conference rooms, business centers, lounge and exhibition gallery. The Muhammadu Indimi Center for Distance Learning is built to international standard for the advancement of tertiary education for the people of Borno State, for other Nigerians, and for the future of humanity.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Trust TV News Hour. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. Water supply in Federal Capital Territory Abuja is not adequate enough to cover all districts and satellite towns. And public holidays approved by the federal government for Nigerians to celebrate the Yuletide may have freed roads from the usual traffic gridlock in Abuja, but commercial vehicle drivers are not happy with the low patronage during the period. And moving on to other stories, governors under the auspices of the Nigerian Governors Forum have been accused of being behind the political crisis in both the ruling party and the country at large. A member of the Kwara State House of Assembly, Said Popola, said this while addressing journalists in Ilorin on the state of the nation. According to him, the governors are the chief instigators of party crisis in their respective states, and further frustrating efforts at granting autonomy to both local government and state assemblies, despite President Muhammadu Buhari signing Executive Order 10, allowing for autonomy to relevant tiers of governance.
Until we know that the Governors Forum, I hope you are listening to me, that the Governors Forum is the basis of our problem in this country. Give the autonomy to the House of Assembly. They said no. A law has been passed. The president has signed. The president now to say, okay, Order 10, Executive Order 10 should be implemented so that the autonomy of the of the House of Assembly and judiciary can be implemented. The governor said no for the past 2 years, and it's not happening. Look at just the electoral bill that's supposed to be signed into law. Our almighty governor said no. You can see what has just happened to our party in Anambra. And I said it when they were concocting figures that Andy Uba won election. I know of my friend George Mogalu who contested the election. They didn't even see the material for election, and you were declaring somebody that he has over 240-something thousand votes. When the real election came, where was the 240,000 votes? And the court now said even APC did not participate in that election. This is the work of these our almighty governors. I think they have hijacked the party, and they have put the party on the path on a path of sliding.
Christians in Bauchi State have described the Christmas period as a period of thanksgiving and a time for reflecting the virtues of Jesus Christ. Reverend Adamu Bawale of Evangelical Church of West Africa, Rafin Zurfi, stated this after a church service in commemoration of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth. Trust TV's Adamu Imam completes the story.
Reverend Bawale says the Christmas period is a special time for humanity and a time to offer prayers to maintain peace and tranquility, while others explain how the day is being celebrated on the 25th of every month of December.
We want to copy the exemplary lives of those people who trust in the word of God and believing in his plan for us.
But this December 25th, it is not the exact day Jesus Christ was born, the Savior of mankind, but it is just an estimate. It was known that he was born when the place was very, very cold, winter period such as this, and it was assumed it is December time. So 25th December is just an estimated date that is accepted worldwide.
According to Pastor Daniel Igwe of Christian Charismatic Ministry, says the purpose of human beings should not be defeated at this period, while Sister Silva hinted that women are expected to keep themselves holy at all time and copy Mary, the mother of Jesus, for her simplicity.
That through this offer, this very gift of God, through our Lord Jesus Christ, that we make very good use of it and get our soul, our life saved, so that we will not end up in hellfire.
Like her, so that God can use us the way he used her to bring about the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. If she was not a virgin, she will not be qualified, number one. Number two, if she did not keep herself and be a child of God, she will not be used, number two. So as Christians, as mothers, as sisters, we should keep ourselves holy as virgins that can be used by the Lord.
They also pray for the survival of country, noting that this is the most trying period ever in the history of Nigeria as a whole. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The Christmas season is a time when Christians celebrate a monumental event in their religion, that is the birth of Jesus Christ. This is usually accompanied by festivities that last for days, often till the New Year, which is seen as part of the festivities. This is usually accompanied by festivities. So Chijoke Okafo looks at celebrations across recreational centers 2 days after Christmas.
Red hearts, balloons, games, lots of food and drinks. This is the spirit of the Christmas season. Even days after 25th December, the festivities don't seem to be slowing down, as people still converge in large numbers in parks and recreational centers to spend fun time with family and friends. Some say Christmas isn't just supposed to be celebrated in one day and forgotten. Instead, the love and togetherness that comes with the season should last longer than the actual day.
Unity is the most thing that people need at a time like this. We need to unite, we need to make friends, we need to love one another, because love is the only thing that brings people together.
Both the young and elderly, everyone shares in this special period in the lives of Christians, as it affords them the opportunity to take down barriers and connect on the same level. Through everyone's lives, the message remains the same: spreading love this season.
We are here to celebrate. This is the only time we really have time to come together. We meet friends, families that we have not met before. So I'm excited, I'm very happy.
The Christmas period comes with enormous advantages for vendors too, especially for people like John, who runs a POS stand. He says during times like this, he makes up to 4 times his usual earnings in a day.
To me, it's a boom to my own business. It's not like as usual, that is like other days. It's manageable. There's no much gain, no much profit in other days. But let me say from Thursday, Friday, Saturday to today, it's a boom for me. So everything is not just triple. Let me say it's 4 times the gain.
The festivities continue as most people look forward to the New Year's Day for another big celebration. Chijoke Okafo, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has signed the 2022 budget estimates into law. As he mentions, one of the areas that is important is the issue of the legislature's autonomy and independence of the judiciary. And also the budget will go to consolidate on the ongoing projects across the state. Earlier, during the signing of the approved budget, Bauchi Speaker of the House of Assembly, Abubakar Suleiman, who presented the budget to the executive arm, remarked that there is an increase of about 2.1 billion naira, which he gave his reasons for the increment to that amount.
Made by the House to the proposal submitted was done to support the move for the financial autonomy of the legislature and the judiciary, and other counterparts provisions that were omitted in the estimate. This aligns with our desire and commitment towards ensuring the independence of those arms of government. And it was done in good faith and we accepted as so.
2,120,000,085 kobo. This was as a result of sincere oversight that there's supposed to be a counterpart fund for one of the international non-governmental organizations that was somehow could not be able to the budget ministry or the ministry could not be able to include. So we observed that and then included some other minor increments. That was the reason why we have an increase of about 2.something billion naira.
A commercial airline has recalled several of its pilots that were dismissed last Tuesday after intervention by stakeholders in the aviation industry. Now let's join Chamunda Beng for more business news.
Arik Air has recalled several of its pilots that were dismissed last Tuesday after intervention by stakeholders in the aviation industry, including the National Association of Airline Pilots and Engineers, NAAPE. The pilots were dismissed last Tuesday after a strike action alleging that on several occasions they had requested to meet with the company's receiver manager, Camilo Omokide, to discuss their welfare and salary increase, but that their efforts proved abortive. According to the airline, there are no ongoing discussions between the management and the pilots on any unresolved labor issues, describing their action as spontaneous and callous. However, the chairman of NAAPE, Moody Mohammed, said the issue has been resolved and the sacked pilots have resumed work. Minister of Federal Capital Territory FCT Abuja Mohammed Bello has assured business owners of the government's efforts to prevent fire outbreaks in business establishments around the FCT. Bello gave the assurance on Sunday following the fire outbreak at Next Cash and Carry supermarket in the Jai area of the FCT at the early hours of Sunday. The minister, who commiserated with the management and staff members of the supermarket and the FCT business community over the incident, noted that thorough investigations would be carried out to find the cause of the fire to prevent a recurrence in any other business establishment within the FCT. National Association of Telecom Subscribers, NAT, has kicked against the plan by the federal government to introduce a suite of digital tokens to enhance the verification of the National Identity Number, NIN, effective from January next year. According to the federal government, the digital token consisting of 16 alphabets and numbers will be accepted for third-party verification instead of the 11-digit NIN. However, the president of NAT, Adeolu Ogunbanjo, described the move as uncalled for and criticized the policy's implementation without proper consultation with stakeholders. Senate Committee on Public Accounts insists that the Petroleum Equalization Fund, PEF, now Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, must account for the bank interest on the 34 billion naira placed on a fixed deposit account with one of the nation's commercial lenders. The committee, chaired by Senator Matthew Urogide, while speaking to journalists, insisted that PEF must present evidence of remitting 182 million naira interest on the 34 billion naira, also accusing PEF of not remitting fully the bank interest on the 34 billion naira. According to him, whether the fund changes name or not, it must appear before the committee to account for the interest. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues after this break. Stay with us. Zamfara State Deputy Governor Mahadi Gusau has described as embarrassing, appalling and highly condemnable the invasion of the venue of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) State Congress by suspected political thugs. The Deputy Governor is reacting to the disruption of state party congresses, which forced delegates to relocate to a military facility to conduct the election. The report.
The State Congress of the People Democratic Party (PDP) in Zamfara State had earlier suffered a setback because suspected political thugs stormed the venue of the exercise, destroying materials including vehicles. This development did not deter the PDP stalwarts and delegates from holding the State Congress of the party as scheduled, as they relocated to the Command Guest Inn where it conducted the exercise. The leader of the party in Zamfara State, who is the Deputy Governor, Mahadi Gusau, is not pleased with the development but said with the successful election of new executives of the PDP in the state, the party is now poised to play its leading role as a major opposition political party to ensure the government deliver on the promises made to the people of the state.
I think I'm very, very surprised because as you recall, this year, June 29th, His Excellency Dr. Bello Matola Muraden left to PDP for APC. And in one of his remarks and statements, he's always bragged about PDP being empty. PDP has taken all the ESCO members, everybody has followed him. A lot of the senators and former ministers, all of them went on board. And he left me, the Deputy Governor, with only a few people, and we're able to rebuild the party from the ground up. I'm surprised and appalled by the reaction that I saw today, I heard, that about 50 thugs came with machetes and burnt the location where we're about to have our state congress. And this location is actually a private residence. So I don't know how we're supposed to feel safe in Gusau Metropolis. And if this is the kind of security we can expect from the city of Gusau, I wonder what the people are experiencing in the rural areas. So I think this is the big issue that I think His Excellency, I'm calling out to him to come and apologize or point out the people who are responsible for these atrocities. If not, we hold him complicit in this act, and it will not be taken, because I think internationally everyone needs to know that Zamfara is not allowed to have opposition, which is mind-boggling. I'm surprised. If I'm just a deputy governor and I'm able to organize this, why are you threatened? I'm actually embarrassed at some point.
The newly elected state chairman of the party, formerly chief of staff to the incumbent governor of Zamfara State, Bala Mohammed, Bala Mande, promised to carry all stakeholders of the PDP along to ensure unity, peace, and strong political party to rescue people of the state.
So that even members of the other party will admire our focus, our unity and strength, and will be lured by our works to join our party. And we leave our party with open doors. They are welcome.
About 1,187 delegates participated in Zamfara State Congress of the party, conducted in the presence of security agencies, representatives of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), and journalists.
And now joining us in the studio is Malachi Uzendu, who is the editor of Authority newspaper, to discuss the previous stories. Welcome to the story.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir. So the story we just saw right now is about the Congress, or should I say the elections that was disrupted, the PDP elections that were disrupted by thugs. So what does that say for the political atmosphere in the state? Is it because why it's so dynamic is because the governor is from the APC and the deputy governor is also from the PDP. Does that play a role in how the politics of the state is shaping up?
No, I think that the primary purpose of government is the welfare and security of the citizenry. And the institution that is charged with the security of lives and property, the primary institution, are the police.
Okay.
And so, whether the governor is of A party or B party, I blame fairly and squarely the police in Zamfara State. And the police commissioner should bear all blames and should be punished. The reason why I'm saying this is that this issue about thuggery and electoral violence is so much eating up the polity. It is not politicians that should be held responsible. Some people are paid with taxpayers' money to be able to prevent those and to apprehend those things. Now, let me tell you, I don't think there is any top politician in Zamfara State, or in any state for that matter, that does not have a security detail attached to him or her. So, who did the planning? Who brought in the thugs? Who paid the thugs? So where are the security details attached to those people? Or are they just carrying bags? Now, some security details may have also been detailed to prevent breakdown of law and order at that convention venue. What did they do? So how can they tell me that ordinary people will come from nowhere and then overwhelm them and scatter everything?
Exactly.
The problem we have had is that people are not put to task. People are not made accountable. How can a police commissioner in Zamfara State be there and that kind of thing happen? It could be a party today. Today is PDP. It could be APC tomorrow. It could be APGA next tomorrow. It could be whatever party, Zenith Labour Party the next day. It does not matter.
But the main reason why people are actually pointing accusing fingers at politicians is because there's this growing belief that it's the politicians that actually arm these thugs. They're the ones who actually sponsor them to go and perpetrate this violence.
The answer is that politics is a game of, if you translate it into your vernacular, I'm an Igbo man, it is called Ndorondoro, which means we are at loggerheads. That is what politics means.
So it's like a wrestling match.
Yes, a wrestling contest. Now, but the people that should bring decorum and decency into it are the security agencies.
The referees.
And you remember that I told you, if security agencies are detailed to provide security at the venue and they fail to provide security, they must be punished. But the problem we have had is that nobody is ever punished. So what has happened in Zamfara can repeat in Edo, it can happen in Sokoto, it can happen in Rivers State, and everybody goes scot-free. But should you now punish the DPO, the person that is held responsible for security in that place, and more especially the CP, Commissioner of Police of Zamfara State? If you make a scapegoat of him, it will not repeat in another state. And that is the final way of resolving it. How can you tell me that people who are already in a battlefield trying to wrestle power from each other, that they will not be involved in one kind of hide-and-seek game? That is politics for you. But then it behooves on the people that are responsible for making peace to ensure that those things do not happen.
So what steps do you suggest the police to take in this kind of situation?
Number one is intelligence. They must not tell us that intelligence have failed, because they are paid to gather intelligence. This thing starts from planning. When the party is planning to do one thing or the other, politicians are also planning how to outwit one another, including engaging themselves in violence, including doing everything humanly possible to frustrate the other person. Now, what is the duty of the security details? They pick intelligence. They nip those things in the bud. They arrest people and prosecute them. But when they don't do that, if they keep on opening doors for politicians and they keep on carrying their bags, or you see them even distributing money for them, so long shall we continue to have this kind of crisis. But until if they sit up and perform their statutory and constitutional duties, all these things will end. Don't blame politicians. Blame the law enforcement agencies that are supposed to perform their duties, but who are not performing their duties.
So just to address the fact, or to go back to what I alluded to earlier, most people believe that the politicians are the root cause of the problem because they are the ones who sponsor the thugs. If the thugs are not there, then there will not be need for the security agencies to take these steps. That is why people point fingers at the politicians.
That is why I said that they are pointing fingers at the wrong end. If I point this finger, 3 is pointing at me. And that 3 is pointing at security. We must tell it the way it is. Politicians, if I'm playing politics with you in the same political party, my duty is not to allow you to win. And your own duty is not to allow me to win. So therefore, you are now playing your games the way, it's like a football field. Why should, for instance, Super Eagles allow the Benin national team to defeat them in a contest? But the referee must be up and doing so that people don't bring in rough tactics into the entire game. And that is the duty of the security agencies. There cannot be any talk if the security agencies are up and doing. When I was a little bit younger, I used to hear that DSS will invite somebody. Have they failed? Why are they no longer inviting people to come and account and then take proactive measures or take punitive measures against them? Why is it that the police, now after the whole thing now, they will say, okay, it's all well and good, everybody will go to rest.
And nobody is
nobody is punished.
So the security agencies
and so it gets worse. It gets worse. So you put it fairly and squarely at the doorsteps of security agencies, not politicians. People should stop passing buck. Where we should put it where it should be. If the security agencies wake up and perform their duties for which they are being paid by taxpayers' money, things will go well in this country. But when they begin to prevaricate and then look the other way around, we'll continue to regurgitate in where we are.
Thank you very much for those insights, sir.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. Malakai Uzendu there, the editor for The Authority newspaper. Now, moving down to other stories, 2021 will go down as a politically eventful year, though the year did not record any extraordinary political event apart from the president refusal to sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill passed by the National Assembly into law. Some political observers have been reflecting on the major developments that shaped the outgoing year. A cross-section who spoke exclusively to Trust TV's Shafi'u Suleiman explained why the outgoing year remained outstanding in the nation's political history. His report.
From high-profile defections of two serving governors to leadership change in the two major political parties and the much-talked-about Anambra election. One recurring happening that cannot be easily forgotten is the deteriorating security situation fueled by activities of armed groups such as ISWAP Boko Haram in the northeast, bandits and kidnappers in the northwest and north central, IPOB in the southeast, amongst others.
The intractable and seemingly worsening specter of insecurity. If there is any man of there, I think the bandit is the man of there 2021. Particularly in the northwest Nigeria, the bandit has been in charge. All attempts to tame the bandits has failed. They have been operating with impunity. The Nigerian state appears to be confused, if not helpless, on how to tame the bandits. There has been outbreak virtually every day in several parts of the country, and with attendant loss in terms of life and property. They have been operating almost without any fear, freely negotiating for ransom.
High-profile corruption revelations uncovered by a network of investigative journalists, in addition to one that led to the sack of the nation's anti-corruption Caesar Ibrahim Magu, whose case, some say, might have been swept under the carpet. The judicial arm of government also witnessed unprecedented ups and downs, including occasional scandals such as invasion of Justice Mary Odele's home, conflicting judgments, and the conviction and sentence of ex-chairman Pension Reform Task Force Abdurrashid Maina.
Partial or landmark point has to do with the judgment given to him, which turned out to be a mockery of sanctions regarding penalties of such magnitude. People really expected something serious, but it turned out to be a paltry judgment with even this directive that he should start concurrently beginning from the period of his initial arrest. And at the end of it, he will discover that out of the, I think it's 6 years something, he will only serve the remaining 2 years. And he came out smiling, laughing, cheering people because he was satisfied with the paltry judgment given, which was even lesser than the judgment given to his son, who is an accused person under the main umbrella of Rashid Mena.
From the legislative front comes the passage of very topical bills, such as the decade-old Petroleum Industry Bill, now an Act of Parliament, Financial Bill 2021, and the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, still in limbo, having been rejected by the President and the failure of the National Assembly to override the President.
The Electoral Act Amendment came with about 18 components. The members of the press, the fourth step of the realm, concentrated attention on only 2 articles there. The issue of direct primaries and the issue of electronic transmission of results. Agreed they are germane because a greater number of electoral fraud is being perpetrated at the level of collation down to the level of announcement of results. So electronic transmission will be a panacea to that misnomer. Then the issue of direct primaries will bankroll democracy back to the citizenry.
But the reality is, it appears to me that a large section, if not the majority section of the Nigerian ruling elite, do not want that amendment. And for purely selfish interest, because it has always served them.
The year under review also saw political alignment and realignment towards 2023 elections.
We've seen alignment and realignment of forces, and these are going to continue. And we've also seen, where in some cases, some of these realignment forces have not been resolved really, because, at the moment, the parties themselves are in a state of flux. We don't know what's going to happen, and then they have not been able to actually come together in terms of aligning themselves to deciding what they should do.
with high-profile visits to a supposed national leader of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in London by President Muhammadu Buhari, National Assembly leadership amongst others, heralding early permutations ahead of the elections. Shafir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And on the international scene, Iraq's Supreme Court has ratified October's parliamentary election after it rejected earlier appeals by Iran-backed Shia faction against the poll results. Now let's join Aisha Haruna for more on the foreign scene.
Iraq's Supreme Court has ratified October's parliamentary election after it rejected earlier appeals by Iran-backed Shia factions against the poll results. Reading the ruling at the court headquarters in the capital Baghdad, Judge Yassim Muhammad on Monday said the court decided to reject the complaint aimed at not having the results ratified and make the plaintiff bear the costs. Under the Iraqi law, Monday's ratification clears the way for a new parliament to hold its inaugural session within 2 weeks. Iran-backed factions, including powerful armed groups, have alleged irregularities in the October 10 vote, in which they performed poorly. Meanwhile, supporters of the opposing political parties set tires on fire in the morning and were chanting against the Election Commission, demanding a recount of all the votes. A court in Mauritius handed a 20-month jail sentence to the captain and first mate of a freighter that crashed into a coral reef last year, causing the Indian Ocean archipelago's worst environmental disaster. Magistrate Ida Ramburan on Monday said the court had taken into consideration the fact that both defendants pleaded guilty and apologized. The MV Wakashio, a Japanese-owned Panamanian-flagged vessel, ran aground in July 2020, spilling toxic fuel into the pristine waters of Mauritius, coating mangroves, corals, and other fragile ecosystem. The ship was sailing from Singapore to Brazil with 3,800 tons of fuel oil and 200 tons of diesel on board when it ran into the reef off the southeast coast of Mauritius. More than 1,000 tons of oil seeped into waters full of marine life from a gash in the vessel's hull before salvage crews were able to remove all the remaining fuel. The 8th round of Iran nuclear talks started on Monday in Vienna based on a new joint document that incorporates key Iranian demands such as guarantees and verification on the lifting of sanctions. Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir said an acceptable joint text has been agreed, which includes talking points on sanctions and nuclear issues. The 8th round of high-stake negotiations aimed at restoring Iran's 2015 nuclear deal with world powers, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, resumed Monday after a 10-day pause following the end of previous talks that began in late November. According to Amir, Iran's demands for guarantees that the U.S. will not unilaterally abandon the deal as it did in 2018 and a period to verify the effective lifting of sanctions will be discussed. Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed has suspended the Prime Minister and removed Marine Forces Commander until corruption investigations are completed, escalating a destabilizing dispute in the Horn of Africa country. A statement by the Office of the President on Monday said the decision to suspend Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble and stop his powers is linked with corruption investigation, accusing the Premier of interfering with an investigation into a land-grabbing case. In a statement on Sunday, the presidential office said Prime Minister Roble is posing a serious threat to the electoral process and overstepping his mandate. A court in Myanmar has again postponed giving its verdict in the trial of deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi for illegally importing and possessing walkie-talkies. The Nobel Peace Prize laureate has been detained since the army staged a coup against her government on February 1, ending the country's brief period of democracy. Nationwide protests against the move are met with a bloody crackdown, with more than 1,300 people killed and over 11,000 others arrested. Earlier this month, Aung San Suu Kyi was jailed for 4 years for incitement against the military and breaching COVID-19 restrictions in a ruling that was widely condemned by the international community.
And in sports, Africa's soccer governing body CAF and European Clubs Association ECA have finally agreed on the players' release for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. Now let's join Adeni Ajishafe for more on sports news.
Hello and welcome to the world of sport. African Soccer Governing Body CAF and European Clubs Association ECA have finally agreed on the players' release for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. After much deliberation and discussions, European Association had earlier cited the new coronavirus variant as excuse to postpone the African Cup of Nations. CAF, on their part, insisted players must be released according to the requirements in the FIFA rule book. Most clubs, especially those in England, are not happy about the timing of the competition, but French Ligue 1 club Metz is the most hit club with 9 of its players leaving for the AFCON. CAF and ECA have finally concluded that players will be released on the 3rd of January for the tournament. And still on AFCON, with 14 days to the commencement of the 2021 African Cup of Nations, Africa Soccer Governing Body CAF has given a deadline to the participating teams on the release of their final list. Host Cameroon, Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, Cote d'Ivoire, and few others have released their final 28 players for the AFCON. CAF on Sunday gave December 27 up to January 3rd as the deadline date for the release of final list. For the second consecutive time, 24 countries will participate in the tournament, slated for Cameroon with the opening match between Cameroon and Burkina Faso on 9th of January at the Olembe Stadium. Super Falcons quartet.
And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.